your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
The fighting continues. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Despite President Trump's push for a deal with Iran, Operation Epic Fury goes on, along with Iran's retaliation in the region.
Today, Israel is expanding its national state of emergency for at least 3 additional weeks as the Iranians continue their ballistic missile attacks against this country. Since 10 p.m. last night, there have been 8 different waves of missiles soaring through the skies of Israel.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv, one of those missiles hitting an apartment building in that city. An American held in Afghanistan for more than a year is released. The Taliban sending 64-year-old Dennis Coyle home. He'd been detained after years of conducting language research. Another grueling day at some U.S. airports for thousands of travelers waiting in long security lines.
The good news is the line is moving, but it's been consecutively about 4.5 hours to get through this TSA line.
Fox's Brooke Taylor at Bush Airport in Houston as a partial government shutdown of Homeland Security continues, leading to TSA staffing issues. ICE agents being sent to some airports to help. A little over an hour from now, Oklahoma's Mark Wayne Mullen will be sworn in as the new DHS secretary. A replacement is appointed to fill his Senate seat.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt had promised to pick a conservative voice to fill Mark Wayne Mullen's Senate seat, and he selected the former CEO of the Tulsa-based Williams Company, a gas pipeline operator, Alan Armstrong.
His perspective and ability to bring people together will be influential in moving the needle on permitting reform, which is desperately needed.
Armstrong said he hopes to drive better policy toward harnessing the country's natural resources.
It's really kind of hard to say no to an opportunity to go serve when the state's given you so much.
Oklahoma law says he cannot run for the term when it's up in 9 months. Congressman Kevin Hart has already announced he is running for the seat, and President Trump has endorsed him.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon, expect a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a low of 39. Tomorrow, anticipate a combination of sun and clouds with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Larry Elder sees the president blazing a trail.
The Iranians hold a chokehold because people are afraid they're going to build a nuke. We haven't stopped them. Venezuela has a thug that's run the country into the ground, and we put up with it in our own hemisphere. Same thing with Cuba, and there's nothing we can do about it. Trump has walked in and said no, no, and no. That's what President Trump has done.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
I didn't switch to Pure Talk just because I wanted to save 50% off the same 5G service I'd been paying twice as much for. I switched because I like the idea of being in business with a wireless company that supports our veterans in a meaningful way. Pure Talk also creates American jobs every day by keeping their entire operation in this country. I appreciate that. If you feel the same, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
What's the password? Is this Vito's Vault, where I can get a 5-star dinner and signature cocktails, see an amazing vaudeville-style musical comedy show with the gangsters and the flappers, all for one low price? Yeah? What's the password? I don't know, but I'm here to make a deposit. Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in.
Vito's Vault, Chicago's new Roaring '20s dinner theater speakeasy. For tickets, go to vitosvault.com.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
The following live program is sponsored by Breakthrough Ideas.
AM 560, The Answer. It's time for breaking news, expert insight, and informed commentary on what's happening in Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. Because an informed citizenry is the only way to protect our republic. It's time for The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson.
Well, he has responded. Good morning. The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson. Under pressure, Governor Pritzker responds to the preventable murder of Loyola student Sheridan Gorman. Good morning. You can watch us on Breakthrough Ideas YouTube channel, on the Facebook page, Jeanne Ives X account, mine X account, Amy Jacobson, or text us or call us 312-642-5600, because Jeanne, it took, as we said, 4 days for Pritzker to respond. And his statement just said thoughts, not even thoughts and prayers, right?
That's right. Our thoughts are with the family, friends, and Loyola community grieving the senseless murder of Sheridan Gorman. He goes on to say, violent crime has no place in our streets, and we expect the alleged perpetrator to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. The Trump administration, I mean, this is the kicker, though. This is just galling.
Oh, God.
The Trump administration needs to stop politicizing heinous tragedies and instead focus on real solutions, like reinstating federal funds to prevent violence that support our public safety efforts. The only thing missing, Amy, was why didn't they not blame Nixon? I mean, Mayor Johnson did. He wanted to blame Nixon for crime. I mean, he left that out. What's wrong with Pritzker these days is he's really slipping.
Well, I got to tell you, he's in Springfield right now and has just announced that March is the month of the woman farmer. Okay. But also when he got done with that little dog and pony show, announcing who the headliner is going to be for the state fair, which whatever. We have two dead preventable deaths on our hands, both in Rogers Park. A reporter asked him and read him the statement from the family. And real quick, the family just said, basically, we are gravely disappointed by the policies and failures that allowed this individual to remain in a position to commit this crime. When systems fail, whether through release decisions, lack of coordination, or unwillingness to act, the consequences are not abstract. They are real. And in our case, they are permanent. And on Thursday night, Jessica Gorman's mom spoke at a vigil they had on campus. And oh my God, Jeannie, this is going to break your heart. Are you ready for this? She got up there and she said, I really hate saying this, but Chicago, we trusted you with our hearts and you betrayed us. So here's Governor Pritzker just moments ago in Springfield replying to the Gorman's statement.
Well, this has been a terrible tragedy, and I know that the Gorman family has suffered mightily. I agree, there have been real failures. Those failures, of course, extend beyond the borders of Illinois. That's their national failures, a failure to have comprehensive immigration reform, a failure of the president to follow his own edict to go after the worst of the worst. And in my view, we have a lot of work that we need to continue to do, but it is the job of the federal government to go after immigration enforcement, and it is the job of our local and state law enforcement to prosecute or to catch violent criminals and prosecute them. And we should continue to do that both on the state level and the national level.
They're the ones who wanted ICE out of Chicago. They wanted ICE out of Illinois. And the reporters there stink, and I want to use the other word, without being a follow-up saying, but you are the one who is enforcing sanctuary city, sanctuary county, sanctuary city. You are the one doing that. It is not the Trumps. It's not ICE. You don't like ICE. You hate ICE. You want to abolish ICE. That's what your platform is right now. Well, this infuriates me. 312-642-5600.
He just spent millions of dollars electing Juliana Stratton, who wants to defund ICE, anti-ICE, anti-Trump. I mean, I don't know how people would let him get away with a statement like that, considering he also put in an accountability team to track what ICE is doing. He has no intent in working with ICE. He wants to defund ICE. This is absolutely outrageous, and I don't think people are going to buy it. I think people are on to him. I think they're on to Johnson, and I think that this could be a tipping point. Not that you want to turn a tragedy into a political tipping point, but let's face it, until enough people wake up and understand the game's being played against them by the political class, nothing is going to change. Until they vote out Governor Pritzker, nothing's going to change. But I mean, his statement at the end here, that, hey, look, the real solution is just having the federal government send us violence prevention funds. I mean, Dan covered it this morning on his show. If you didn't hear his interview with Olivia Reingold, we covered it yesterday as well, just slightly, not enough. But her entire article about the scam that these violent prevention grants are, he spent, Pritzker, over the last 8 years, $770 million to violence prevention grants, bogus NGOs, giving payouts to ex-gangbangers for nothing, for absolutely nothing. Even aldermen are saying this is all a scam. Even people involved in the system are playing, and he wants to say federal funds are the problem here. And the guy's such a bad guy. He's so bad.
312-642-5600. And to make matters worse, the Chicago Tribune called him a Rogers Park man. And Alderwoman Maria Hayden not only said, wrong place at the wrong time, but she blamed Sheridan. She's saying that she caused her own murder because she said that they startled him. Listen to this.
From what I've been told so far, right, from what police know, from speaking to the students who were with her, it seems she might have, that as they were just out, people go out to the beach all the time, right? And they go out on the pier, they walk around. So the kids were out doing normal things people do in the neighborhood. And it sounds like this might have been a wrong place, wrong time, running into a person who had a gun. They might have startled this person at the end of the pier unintentionally. But that's all we know. So it from what I've been told, what police investigation has turned up so far, what they've been able to share with me and with Loyola University, we don't believe there is cause for broader community concern.
Cause for broader community concern. He was a murderer. There was days before he got caught, and he could have committed another crime and killed somebody else.
Well, our good friend Ray Lopez, alderman, he's on to something here. He said, he tweeted this out. Hey, at DHS.gov, in January 2025, at Real Tom Homan stated we had 2,000 vetted criminal migrants in Chicago. Was Jose Medina, the murder suspect of Sheridan Gorman, on that list? Who else did Biden-Harris send to my city that posed serious safety risks to the most American of American cities? hashtag release their names. He's absolutely right. We do need to understand who that is. What is the priority target list? Where is the follow-up on that? And Governor Pritzker needs to be held to account for that. I mean, if Jose Medina was on this list and at the same time they were obstructing ICE, he's got a lot to answer for.
And then he goes out and blames ICE today for Gorman's murder. And then a reporter didn't do a follow-up like, what are you talking? Are you out of your mind? Like, wake up, we're on to you. Instead of saying that, they're all kissing his butt because they want to get interviews with him. Like, have you talked to the Gorman family yet? And he said, no, Cardinal Supage, I guess, has spoken with the family. And he said, when they're ready, we could talk to them. Well, I hope they give them hell.
Well,
because in that statement that they said yesterday, they said they're disappointed by the policies and failures that allowed this individual to remain in position to commit this crime.
One more point I want to make, and then we're going to take a couple phone calls before we break here. But Ray Lopez also mentioned this, and we mentioned it, Amy, on our show yesterday, the fact that Rep. Kelly Cassidy wants to get rid of the facial recognition that helped cops solve a number of different crimes, including this one. And Ray tweeted out again, technology helped at Chicago police catch Jose Medina, the man accused of killing Sheridan Gorman in Rogers Park. Despite that fact, the local state rep, and he should have named names, the local state rep, it is Kelly Cassidy, wants to outlaw surveillance and biometric technology less than a week after Sheridan's murder. And then he says how blanking dumb are hyper-liberal politicians. This is Ray Lopez, who himself is a Democrat. Are the privileged, guilt-ridden elite so enamored with criminals that they are now deaf to the victims' cries for justice? 100% they are. Mm-hmm. And this is the liberal city that you exist in, Illinois. Okay, the phones are lighting up. Let's take a couple of those.
Real quick, a text message. So now he's being hospitalized for free and we're paying for it because he has tuberculosis. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Mitchell in Des Plaines. Mitchell, you're on with Jeanne and Amy.
Yeah, good morning. First of all, the hypocrisy is that Pritzker never says that this person needs to be held accountable for his actions and a lackless law and order of a city that he couldn't care less about. They pivot to Trump as if it's his fault. I mean, this ridiculous notion is exactly why people in Illinois should get the hell out. And people in Chicago proper, you're fooling yourself if you think it's a safe city. This innocent girl was just walking, and I guess she interrupts, according to this alderman, she interrupted the criminal's activity. Shocker. I mean, Jesus Christ, what are we doing here? I mean, like, this is the most bizarre. We are living through the dark ages on steroids, Daddy-O.
Yeah, no, and Mitchell, listen. Okay, so that alderman, Hayden, Kelly Cassidy. Oh, she did?
No, she should resign.
Oh, she should resign. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Kelly Cassidy, they all represent Rogers Park.
Yeah.
This isn't scattered. You have a concentration of idiots, apparently. And I'm sorry, voters, that includes you, because you keep voting these people in, and or you won't step up to the plate and challenge them. And you should.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Okay, let's go to Roger. And Roger, where are you from?
Well, let's just take Roger. Hi,
yeah,
Roger.
We're taking Roger. How you doing?
South side,
from somewhere. Oh, south side.
South side, sorry.
Yeah, I'll just make it fast with some bullet points. Okay, this would help a lot if, here, the biggest county, Cook, and some of these other sheriffs, would allow ICE into these jails, into the court systems, and here, obviously in Cook County, all right, they're not going to help. They're not going to help ICE. They're going to hold a political line on these people. You know what I'm saying? It's still going to be a battle against the Trump White House or the Trump policies. Because you probably got 500-600 people sitting in Cook County alone that are illegals. Okay, but do you see the sheriff coming out and saying, "Hey, listen, we think these guys we know they're illegal, but they're not calling ICE. They're not going to. They're going to continue to play the political game, and like I said, this is becoming a weekly thing. And every week, everybody gets put off by another young person getting killed or an innocent person. Okay, go back to Danny Golden, the Chicago police officer.
Oh, yeah.
It's every week or if it's every month, okay? And there's no way, and both of you ladies did a great job with Ted Dabrowski. Unfortunately, didn't make it. But last thing I'll say is there's no way in the world we can even have hope until we get rid of machines. There's no way in the world Tony Preckwinkle got 400,000 votes here. And the problem is that she has rewritten through her political influence. She's the president of Cook County Democratic organization. They have downgraded where it's almost out of the judge. Even the good judges can't do anything outside of murder or attempted murder. And here now you're going to get another 4 years of that. So, I mean, like, yeah, this primary, as much as we don't want to admit it, you know, it was a total gut punch to the, you know, to the normal.
Yeah,
it really
Roger.
Was.
You know, Roger, you're right. You're right. On the Democrat side, I mean, they basically reelected the establishment that they pretend like they don't like. But they all got reelected. And so we're going to put the question to our next guest on what are they going to do in the future? Are they really that upset at the firefighter Altman's death? Are they ready to make a change? Are they ready to be part of the solution?
Yeah, because we have another preventable murder in Rogers Park, and that was firefighter Michael Altman's murder, because his murderer was out on pretrial release, and he was squatting, and he was doing everything wrong. But we're going to begin with the vice president of the Chicago Firefighters Union Local 2, Eric Steinmetz. He joins us, and then we'll take your calls later. You're listening to The Real Story on AM 560, The Answer.
Exposing the lies and the misinformation from the politicians and the media. This is The Real Story on AM 560, The Answer.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now. Prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins in bars, but also those old coin collections. You might have scarce dates or higher grade coins, so take advantage of the record high market price and the demand now. Whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out values, trust the team at Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Mayor Johnson just spoke at a press conference. He opened by saying that he expresses sympathy for Michael Altman and Sheridan Gorman. He then, Jeannie, segued into a statistical light show. He had the big board up claiming crime is down and repeated again that the Whopper CPD's clearance rate is at 75%, which is a flat out lie, but that's what he did. So he expressed sympathy for Michael and for Sheridan and then quickly deflected and said that crime is down because of affordable housing and that the clearance rate
it's not
is
down
at 75%.
far enough, that's for sure.
No, I mean,
not down far
that,
enough, and I don't think it's actually true. I don't think we can trust his statistics.
Yep. All right. So we've talked a lot about Sheridan Gorman, but there was another preventable death, this time a firefighter. So now firefighters who risk their lives every day for us and for our safety are victims of the Safety Act. And I'm bringing our next guest on, because the Chicago Tribune, once firefighter Michael Altman died, wrote the most horrific article about him. Where his wife, he has a baby, his wife is expecting their second child. He gave his life, fighting fires valiantly every day. He's been on the job for 2 years. And they brought up something that happened years ago when he was in elementary school. It was just this goofy Southside Firehouse videotape. And they said that his father and grandfather covered it up. And it was really disgusting. And somebody who responded to it that I thought was very brave for doing so is Eric Steinmetz. He is the vice president of the Chicago Firefighters Union Local 2, and he joins us now on The Real Story. Good morning, Mr. Steinmetz. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. So tell us about that article and what was your reaction when you read it?
Well, I think obviously when we, all the firefighters and paramedics on our job read this article, it was fine until about the last 6 paragraphs. It reported the actual news, and then it brought up a story from 30 years ago that completely had no involvement with what we're discussing. And that's, like he said, a young husband, father, and son that tragically perished trying to save other people's lives.
And you wrote a letter, you wrote a letter to the Tribune and hoping that they publish it. But can you go over some highlights of that letter?
A lot of the letter is talking about how many times I had to rewrite the letter because I was so incensed with what happened. It would have been stooping right down to their level. And this was, I just want the Chicago Tribune and I want all the journalists to be better than at a time like this, going as low as they possibly can and trying to get sensationalist news that just propagates some of the worst behavior out of all of us. And it's divisive and it's rotten and it has no business being in what it should be a legitimate news source. That was the long and short of it. It was just really to let them know that we're not going to have this. You can do whatever they want with other news stories, but you're not going to take one of our members' lives perishing and make a sensationalist nonsense story. Just to try to get clicks or try to get more read.
Can I ask you something, though? Because I've been checking out all the Chicago Tribune articles about Michael Altman's death. And it appears to me they may have changed their articles and deleted that part of it now at this point. I cannot find the original story where they talk, because I read the original story and now I'm back online looking for it. I don't see it. And of course, the only thing they mention is that he's a 4th generation firefighter. Maybe they're sheepish here. I don't know. I don't see a correction. And I also don't see, whenever I look down below, I don't see their original article posted as additional reading.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong but I'm searching and I've been searching for the last 5 minutes. I still have not found. I think that they might have changed it.
Well, he blocked his X account to make it private because he got so much pushback. That's the writer who did this.
The writer did?
Yep.
Yeah.
And let's say his name. What is his name, Eric?
It's Sam Charles and Caroline Kubzanski. Kubzanski.
So do you think that this is that there's going to be a turning point here in the state of Illinois? Do you think that the firefighters have had it with the legacy media, with quite frankly, these preventable crimes not being actually prevented by the political ruling class. Are the firefighters going to make a change at the ballot box, or am I just dreaming?
Well, I hope that we can make as much of a change as we can, but at the same time, we are a small portion of the population that votes. And this is something, crime. It's been something that it affects several parts of our job outside of arson. Our paramedics are regularly battered and assaulted while trying to help others. And this is something that we've had to fight for legislation to try to make it a Class X felony, assaulting our members. It's been a constant.
Yeah, but they still might be released on the Safety Act. So what do you want to say about the Safety Act in 30 seconds?
In 30 seconds? Yeah. We really need to take a hard look at just letting people out on the street, because this guy was let out on the street 4 separate times, and he never followed his bond, never followed any court rulings. And there he was, and that's what put him back out on the street.
All right, Eric, we're going to have to leave it there.
Fire.
Thank you so much.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Sean Thompson when you subscribe to the Sean Thompson Show podcast, presented by the Alpha Wealth Group. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts, or search for The Sean Thompson Show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
News. I'm Gianna Gelosi. Waves of Iranian missiles targeted Israel and Iraq after the U.S. and Iran sent conflicting signals about whether they were negotiating to end the conflict.
Israel and the United States say the ability of Iran to fire offensive weapons is severely degraded. The IDF says they have struck now some 3,000 targets in Iran. That's in addition to U.S. strikes. They've hit command centers, weapons storage, aerial defense systems. Overnight, the IDF says airstrikes hit some 50 targets, including launchers for ballistic missiles.
Fox's Mike Tobin, Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin, set to be confirmed as DHS Secretary later today, and now we know his replacement.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt had promised to pick a conservative voice to fill Markwayne Mullin's Senate seat, and he selected the former CEO of the Tulsa-based Williams Company, a gas pipeline operator, Alan Armstrong.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon, expect a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a low of 39. Tomorrow will bring a combination of sun and clouds with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long, not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear, hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Yuck. Is that what you say when you look at your garage floor? It's covered in salt, cracked, or stained from this winter's brutal blast. Well, I have great news for you. You can fix it and start enjoying your garage this spring. A permanent new solution, folks. Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty and gross and cracked to showroom shiny in just one day. I went to work, I came home, and it was done. My husband and I love it. If they can't find me, I'm in the garage. Seriously, I set up a little TV there and a chair, and that was my getaway. That was my she shack. It's a shiny new gleaming garage floor. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, permanent durable solution, guaranteed to never chip or peel. And mention me, Amy, for $500 off. So get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. It's not an epoxy job. Oh no, it's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. One day and they're done. I'm not kidding you. So schedule your free quote today and mention me to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, level10coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. That's 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
It's Reveille. It took 4 days before Governor Pritzker finally put out a statement about the horrific murder of Sheridan Gorman, a Loyola student shot allegedly by a criminal illegal alien. 4 days. The story made national news as soon as the murder took place. Sheridan Gorman was out late at night with friends enjoying the view of the Chicago skyline when a masked man took aim at the group and shot her. She died on the spot. Once reports came out that the alleged murderer was here illegally and had an arrest record, the story went viral, only to be ignored by both Pritzker and Mayor Johnson. When Pritzker finally put out a statement, he called the murder senseless. And then he went after President Trump, calling for him to stop politicizing heinous tragedies and instead focus on real solutions like reinstating federal funds to prevent violence to support our public safety efforts. The last part of Pritzker's statement is outrageous. According to an investigative report in the Free Press by Olivia Reingold, Governor Pritzker has spent nearly $770 million of taxpayer money to employ ex-gangbangers and subsidize nonprofits working on violence prevention. It's a scam, and the money could have gone to local law enforcement instead. The media blew it too when reporting on the murder. The Sun-Times practically blamed the victim for being out late with friends along the lakefront, writing the headline, "Wrong place, wrong time." Someone should ask the editors at the Sun-Times, are there now no-go zones in the city where only the criminals are allowed to hang out? The Chicago Tribune called the murderer simply a man from Rogers Park and took days to write that he was here illegally. Both Pritzker and the media know the Sanctuary State Law and Safety Act have failed the law-abiding. They must be repealed. But that won't happen until the voters take the current radicals out of office. I'm Jeannie Ives. Listen to The Real Story Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Your beloved dog and a stranger are both drowning. You can only save one. Who do you save? Every time Dennis Prager asks that question, his audience splits three ways. 1/3 chooses the dog, 1/3 chooses the stranger, and 1/3 aren't sure. Why? Because we live in an age where increasingly feelings define right and wrong. But if morality is based on emotion, then murder, rape, and theft are just opinions. And if people feel justified, why is rioting or destruction wrong at all? In his new book, If There Is No God, Dennis Prager explains why civilizations cannot survive without objective morality and why Judeo-Christian values shape the moral foundations of the free world.
If you claim that certain things are good, certain things are evil, independent of how you feel about it, you are in effect affirming God.
If There Is No God by Dennis Prager, available now at pragerstore.com. That's pragerstore.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, welcome back to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson.
Yeah, we're happy to follow up on this story. We talked about it before, but it's worth getting a lot more information out there about it. And it's the Chicago Tribune editorial. Illinois Republicans aren't just losing, they're disappearing. Of course, it was a very, very lengthy article that they wrote on just 2 days post-primary after essentially there was very, very low turnout. And in fact, it was such low turnout that they wrote in 2014, despite just 18% turnout, Republican gubernatorial candidates collectively got more than 816,000 votes. This time, the 4 Republican candidates in the gubernatorial combined just 560,000 votes, and that was even lower than in 2022. That had about 800,000 as well. So, I mean, it was a very, very low turnout. And then they go on to, of course, say, you know what, Republicans need to get their act together, and of course, MAGA's a problem. And of course, you have gerrymandering going on. But, oh my goodness, you're just paying political consultants and operatives who continue to profit from losing campaigns. And I mean, they just did this whole, what they think is an insider's look at what's going on in, electoral politics here and how you get elected. And they actually have, they're just making things up. Here's their bottom line. Here's the deal. Okay, we need to have anybody who believes in competitive politics that leads to better governance. Illinois does not benefit from a one-party rule, and voters deserve a functional, credible alternative. And he's calling on the Republican Party to get its act together. Well, here to talk about that, because he's one of the best campaigners on the Republican side, is my good friend, former state rep, Tom Morrison. He served for 12 years in the legislature. I served 6 of those years with him. And he narrowly won his last election in 2020 by, I think, like 47 votes. And then in 2022, redistricting hit, and we know what that means.
Yeah.
So, Tom, thanks so much for joining us. And what say you to this editorial by the Chicago Tribune?
Yeah, well, Jeannie and Amy, thanks for having me on. I just want to clarify something. It was in 2018 that I won by just 4 dozen votes. and that's important because that was a really, really difficult year for Republicans. As you know, the collapse of the Rauner campaign, the God-smacking amounts of money, jaw-dropping amounts of money that Pritzker threw in. There was some anti-Trump sentiment in the suburbs, and so that hurt us. But after that narrow win in 2018, I was determined to come back again. I did not want Democrats to think that they could just light me up and have me go away that easily. So I came back in 2020, and I won by a substantially larger margin. And it's important because Trump still lost my area. Trump was on the top of the ticket in 2020. He lost my area by 20%, but I was able to win by 4%.
That's amazing. How come the Chicago Tribune didn't highlight what your good record and what you've been doing?
I'm just one person. So I want to go back to that op-ed. And there are things that I disagree with them about, but there are things that I agree with them about. And so depending on how much time you want to spend on this, we could kind of go through that.
Go ahead.
But yeah. I think, okay. So they talked about the reduced Republican primary voter turnout. Well, okay, let's compare 2014. First of all, there were more Illinois residents in our state in 2014, including more Republicans. That was also a very, very highly contested primary. So Bruce Rauner was in that race, and you had Bill Brady again, and I think Kurt Dillard. So there was a ton of Republican candidate activity, which when there's ads out there, when there's people knocking on doors and making phone calls, when there's yard signs out, there is more awareness. And that does turn people out. It just does. I mean, we have these very, very early primary elections, and a lot of voters are not as engaged as you or your listeners are. And so it takes a lot of that buzz to get more people out. And I think with this last primary, we just didn't have that. Darren Bailey was not campaigning. Ted, was trying to generate some buzz. But again, his campaign spend was a fraction of what you would typically see. And then likewise, Hydra came in really late. Mendrick didn't really have much of a campaign. So same with the U.S. Senate race on our side last week. There just wasn't a whole lot of activity. On the flip side of that, on the Democrat side, there were ads all over the place and all the time. And so if you're a Republican voter, and let's say you live in the city of Chicago, or or you live in the suburbs and you really don't want the farthest left candidate to be the nominee, and maybe your elected official, maybe that is a reason to grab a Democrat primary ballot so that you could vote for the least bad person.
Well, how many Democrats do you think pulled Republican ballots to put Darren Bailey in place because they wanted to guarantee that he'll lose to Pritzker like he did last time around?
I doubt that happened this time.
I agree.
I don't see any evidence of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Because Pritzker needed them to vote for Juliana Stratton?
Well, like I said, there was a lot more activity on their side, and our Republicans are having some intra-party fights. We know that, but there are definitely intra-party fights on the Democrat side too. You have the hard left that is pushing for candidates at the state legislative level, at the congressional level, and going up from there. And so I think that drove some of their turnout, and on our side, there just wasn't as much interest.
Well, Tom, you've always talked about actually just going to the mat, going straight to the doors, talking to the people, listening to them rather than, berating them or telling them what's up, letting them speak. That's always been your path to victory. And, the suburbs, they want to hear what's going on. I think people do. And so, how do we win? You've got a program, I think, that you've put together.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So, and that's where I agree with the Tribune. I think the Republican Party has to do a better job of candidate recruitment, but also excellent candidate training. And so with Tim Ozinga, we put together a program called Candidate Masterclass. And so if any of your listeners are interested in that, they can go to candidatemasterclass.com. And we just several things. We have to start a lot earlier. Here we are, we're just months away from the November election. If you're a candidate for office in 2026 and you're just now starting to knock on doors, you're way, way, way behind. Maybe you're thinking about running at some point in the future, and that's, again, something I want to encourage your listeners. And Jeannie, you've been great at encouraging people to get involved with school board elections and the library board and the local elections. Well, those happen in a year. So if you're thinking about running for one of those positions, or you want to support somebody to run for that position, you've really got to start now. Maybe you're not going to run in 2026, but you want to think about running in 2028. I would encourage you to volunteer for a candidate so that you can start to learn effective ways to talk to voters at the door. So help somebody else who's running in 2026 with a mind toward running yourself in 2028 or 2029. The Democrats, they have a really strong bench. And so that, something that the Tribune said that the Republican Party should do, develop a stronger bench. And I agree with that, because you see on the Democrat side, that's what they do. They get library board members elected, school board members elected, and then the good ones, they elevate them to a county board position or a mayoralship or the legislature. And they just have a stronger bench.
Well, how do we attract the younger generation? I see in DuPage County, they have these kids from Addison Township High School. They're at these events with the signs, no ice. They're indoctrinating them, but they're recruiting them. I don't know how they all have access to the children, but how can the Republican Party start with the younger generation in a respectful way?
Yeah. Well, I think the example that Charlie Kirk laid out for us is it's just so impressive. And we all know, Charlie was taken from us way, way, way too early. But one thing I am thankful for is the thousands of hours of video out there of Charlie showing how to interact with people, how to use persuasion, how to just engage with young people, young and old alike, actually, and inspire people to think about what this country is, that it is still the greatest country that we've ever known, and just what an opportunity we have to live here. But we see what the other side has in mind for this country. Going back to Barack Obama's statement, we're going to fundamentally change the greatest country on earth, right? We know what the vision of the left is, and I don't think the majority of Americans want that. There may be some young people who are initially attracted to the false promises of socialism, But what it comes down to it, they really don't want that. And the average American does not want that. They don't want out of control government. They don't want their taxes through the roof. They don't want to feel unsafe going out in Chicago to look at the Northern Lights or to just visit our wonderful city. They don't want to feel unsafe. They don't want to overpay. They're sick of the corruption. And
but Tom,
how do you get voters to understand that? You've got to do the hard work of connecting the dots for them.
Yeah, I know it's exhausting work to do that, and it's exhausting to walk door after door. And maybe you're like, if you get 10 to 20% of the people open up the door, you leave them information. I will say this: I think that we had the problem in our electoral politics, and this is why I asked Mr. Steinmetz of the firefighter union is when are the unions going to get a clue? Because they control it. They control the money. If you look at any of the Democrat campaign accounts, it is all money from the unions. They rarely have just individuals ponying up any substantial money. It's all union money. They control the entire state of Illinois. And I am not mincing words here. This is absolutely the truth. And then if they don't need it, they circulate that money back to somebody else who's already been maxed out by the union. We have a problem here because the public sector unions control the vote so badly.
They do have the money and the manpower, but here's where I'd like to give you some encouragement. So down in the state of Texas, the Democrats flipped a Republican seat. I'll send you a PDF of the article later, but there's a lot of lessons from that article that I think your listeners would glean from. So this was a Texas State Senate seat. It was in the Dallas suburbs, I believe. It had been a Republican seat for a long, long time. And so it was vacated because the current senator moved up to some statewide position. So there was a special election held in February, and the Republicans were expected to win it. The Republican nominee had tons of money, and they were running ads. The Democrats did not let that deter them. They hustled. They knocked doors. They had a candidate who was out there hustling and knocking doors. And the article says, we focused on the quote unquote unsexy stuff. We had to make a lot of just hard decisions. How is this going to get us to a victory? How are we going to get more votes than our opponent? So outspent in a Republican district, and they went out there and they did it, and they won by like 10 or 12 or 14%. And they flipped this Democrat candidate in the campaign. They flipped Republican voters to vote for the Democratic candidate because they appealed to what mattered to that particular voter. And so, back here in Illinois, in the Chicago suburbs, in a lot of these battleground districts, there is a growing number of persuadables. Okay, what I mean by that is a smaller and smaller percentage of voters identify strictly as Democrats or strictly as Republicans, because there's things that they like and dislike about the party. So, you talk to a Democratic voter. They don't like high taxes. They know that people are leaving Illinois. They don't like the corruption. Okay. They don't like the super hard left social policies. Okay. They don't like that. But they'll still vote for a Democrat if they don't have a solid alternative. On the other side, you have the hardcore Republican voter who's going to vote Republican no matter what. All right. But then in the middle, you have people who maybe they don't like all of Donald Trump's personality, okay? Or they disagree with one Republican policy or another. It's incumbent on the Republican candidate and the precinct committeemen and the volunteers for those candidates to go out and do the hard work of trying to talk to someone. And Jeannie, to your point, okay, only 20% of the time they'll open the door. Well, you might have to go back through that neighborhood again, a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and you try again. And then you go back a month later and you try again. Keep persisting.
Okay. Hey, Tom, we got to kind of leave it there. I just want to tell people that big candidates can't do it on their own. People need to sign up, be an election judge. They need to sign up and be a precinct committeeman. They need to sign up and volunteer with a campaign. It's exhausting work. You walked all the time to win your elections. That's how I won my elections, by the way. If you're a mother and you have 5 kids in 4 different schools, you have a network that's almost unbeatable. So I encourage people to build their network before they run for election. Don't take on a political race because you know what, you just want to be a politician. Have it be part of like maybe your entire story of why you're getting involved. But there's so much more here to talk about. We've got to kind of leave it there and break, and then we'll take questions after that break. I want to thank you, Tom, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And again, that website is candidatemasterclass.com. Coming up on The Real Story, airports on ice. We'll explain.
And we'll take your calls. Yes.
Make your voice heard. Call or text The Real Story at 312-642-5600.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Progressive presents a guided meditation.
Hear the birds sing. A chipmunk nibbling on an acorn. Smell the pine needles gently falling into your living room as the breeze blows through the gaping hole in your roof. Gaze up at that broken tree branch and relax, because you bundled your home and auto with Progressive and have the peace of mind of 24/7 protection. So relaxing.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, welcome back to The Real Story. We're taking your phone calls, 312-642-5600.
We've got Jim from the South Side, president of Chicago Firefighters Union, former president. Jim, welcome to the program.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Well, the reason I called was I enjoyed hearing what Eric Steinbeck had to say, but I think the issue with the media is that they've shown with this article with Mike Altman that there's no level that they won't stoop to in order to inject political advocacy into the mix rather than journalism. I think journalism is dead in Chicago. They've to do this to a family. Mike Altman gave his life protecting the people of the city of Chicago, and for them to have denigrated his sacrifice and to insult his family by doing what they did in that article. That, like they said, the first part of the article was pretty good. There was absolutely no reason to add something from Mike Altman was 5 years old when that whole issue came up with his grandfather. He wasn't even born when that videotape was made in 1990. So it just shows that the media is dead in Chicago. There's no such thing as journalism. It's political advocacy. And the Tribune, the Sun-Times, most of the networks are the bias is just incredible.
Well, it's just so weird because it used to be defund police and people turned on police officers. Now, after reading that article, I thought, are people turning on firefighters? Because you guys were our heroes growing up. Like, people wanted to be police officers, firefighters, paramedics.
Well, I swear I swear that they changed the article because I'm reading it and they're like, he was part of a family with a long history with the fire department. Altman was the grandson of former Chicago Fire Commissioner Edward Altman. Sources said Altman served under Mayor Richard Daley from 96 to 99, and that part of it has a link to a 1997 article by the Tribune where they go into the stuff. And so I think that they did change their article out of that because of the heat.
They absolutely did.
They did.
They absolutely did change it. And
Shameful.
I printed a copy of the article.
Good for you, Jim.
There was an article that they printed it originally on Thursday. You could go to their website, and the newspaper showed the whole thing.
Yep.
Now it's been changed because they realized they stepped in it.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for all the callers. We'll try and get you tomorrow. Try again.
Yes. And Jeannie, we're going to talk about ICE at airports because you're traveling. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My